Good evening. I wanted to thank Supervisor Report for allowing us to make our presentation to the board. This is a presentation that we have started discussing about a year ago in attempts to kind of reach out to make all the municipalities in Dutchess County, our 20 towns, 8 villages, and 2 cities, aware of the commission, the work we do, and how we can assist when situations arise to kind of present solutions. So it's a way that we're trying to create some collaboration, and especially I'm located on the east side of the county. I'm the only member east of the Taconic, so I'm trying to get a lot of visibility, especially for the commission in this area. So one of the things that that we wanted to certainly discuss is, current issues that the county kind of is certainly seeing, and how other municipalities are dealing with those situations, solutions, and informing municipalities of the work and activities of the commission. So the history of the commission was originally formed in 1984. It was disbanded for a short period of time, and it was re-established by County Executive Mark Molinaro in 2016. The commission is comprised of Jody Miller, who is our commission chair and county employee, and 14 volunteers. The commission volunteers are appointed by either the county executive or the chairman of the county legislature, and serves 2 3-year terms with possible reappointments. And one of the things that, in doing this on the east side is that I would love to see more people involved and join our commission. So as any of you have any individuals that you think that would be interested in being part of the commission, please have them send their application. It's something I think that's very much needed. We have about 14, but I think we're currently around 10, so we have room to grow. So with that being said, I have 2 colleagues. I apologize, I should give my background also. I live in the town of Northeast. I've been in that area for 25 years. My background is in financial services. I retired about 5 years ago, and since then I've been doing a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot of volunteer work with NECC, and I've been doing tax preparation through the AARP program that they have, as well as I have most recently been doing a lot of deliveries to families in Amenia, Dover, Wasaic, as part of their efforts for outreach for people in need during the pandemic. I also was involved in doing the food bank that you had here, the Community Action Partnership, and I'm also part of the Tri-Town Coalition, which I believe Supervisor Report is as well, trying to find solutions for affordable housing. That being said, I'd like to introduce Victoria Anderson, who will continue the presentation and introduce herself. Victoria, can you increase your volume? It's very faint. We hear you now.
Okay. Trying to see where.
It should be coming through those speakers, right?
Volume button over on that speaker over there.
1 second, Victoria.
Power on to it.
Power's on.
The power's on.
It's just
Okay, Victoria, you want to?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
there
now
she
we're
is.
good.
Okay, good. So everyone can hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So hi everyone, my name is Victoria Anderson. I live in Southern Dutchess, and I've been a commission member for over 3 years now. So I'm going to start by telling everybody the mission of the commission. Our mission is to defend human rights, bridging differences, and embracing diversity. So now when I go into talking about our role, you will see how it really connects to those 3 points. So again, those points are defending human rights, bridging differences, and embracing diversity. So our role, our first role that I would say is to foster mutual respect and understanding among all racial and religious and ethnic groups in the county. Next is to educate county communities on issues and studies of human rights. Third, addressing discriminatory practices as well as tension and conflict and help to resolve them. Fourth, organize and participate in county activities, events, and building goodwill and alliances to foster mutual respect and understanding among groups. Fifth is to develop programs to enhance inclusion and embrace diversity. Sixth, we have acting as a bridge to other resources, including the New York State Division of Human Rights. And lastly, the Commission is not an investigative body, and we do not enforce authority. We just want to make that clear. Does anybody have any questions on our roles so far?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So next I'm just going to go through some of the activities that the Commission has been working on. First we have the Transformative Dialogues. And the 2 kinds of transformative dialogues we have are 100 cups of coffee and listening sessions. So the difference is the listening sessions, the main goal of the listening session is to just get from the community information of their experience, their lives, what they go through, what they think that they need, so we can be reactive to that as a commission. And the 100 cups of coffee, that's more about the community having dialogue, not just to us, but amongst themselves as a community, to again bridge differences. So it connects to those bridging differences in our mission statement. The Commission did have listening sessions in Millerton in June of 2017, and there was also one in Amenia at the Convocation Beth David on October of 2018. We also celebrate International Human Rights Day, and we partner to commemorate the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations in 1948. Our commission members also are at tabling events and attend community events as they come up. And we also conduct facilitator trainings for the community and local organizations. The Commission also acts as an information resource and conduit for the county government, its municipalities, as well as the New York State Division of Human Rights. And there's an inter-county forum with the Human Rights Commission of Orange and Ulster County on hate. And lastly, the participation of the county's police reform work group and moderating the associated listening sessions, we're involved in that as well.
If I could interject, we also held a listening session in Millbrook at the Lyell Memorial Federated Church. That was done about 2 years ago, and I think your county legislature, Deidre Houston, was there for that. And the listening sessions that we're going to be having on police reform, we are going to have about six of them. And there's going to be one that's specific to the northeast part of this county, which I'll be sure that you know about and you can participate in.
Oh, good,
so-
because I did participate in the county-wide one that the county executive had.
Right. So there'll be one that we're hosting about, we're going to be moderating about 6 of them. And so we're going to try to focus them by region.
Okay, thank you.
So next, Jen Drake is presenting the next part of our program presentation. Jen?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Certainly can.
Great.
Welcome,
Hi,
Jen.
My name is Jen Drake. I have been with the Commission on Human Rights since 2016. I'm a 20-year resident of Dutchess County. I live in Rhinebeck. And my background is in human services, and I currently work for the Dyson Foundation in Millbrook. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the county. In general, we've seen an uptick in incidents of hate speech and action over the past year or so, and you are all no doubt aware of that. If you've been looking at the newspapers, you've seen some of these will be familiar to you. So some examples of those things include swastikas displayed in an apartment window, and also spray painted on a car. We've seen white supremacist recruitment flyers circulating in various villages and also on college campuses in the county. We've seen destruction of property that displayed the LGBTQ pride flag. We've seen racial harassment, specifically of a delivery worker. We've seen general xenophobia towards members of our immigrant community here in the county. And even during the COVID pandemic, we've seen the Asian American community locally impacted, as well as a rise in anti-Semitism, particularly in the Orthodox community. And we've become aware of some discrimination specifically against people who've tested positive for the coronavirus. So these are just some examples of what has been reported to us, but we know that incidents of hate have been increasing. So in terms of what can be done, what has been done to address these things, the first thing we think is incredibly important is just really talking about hate when it happens, because we really think that silence can be interpreted as acceptance of hate, and I think we can all agree that hate really should have no place in our Dutchess County communities. So we think that it's important to have conversations about these issues when they arise. We very much hope to be working with elected officials to both recognize incidents of hate as what they are when they happen, and also to help find productive and proactive ways to address those incidents and to speak out when hatred occurs. So one of the things we do is just we communicate amongst ourselves to come up, within the commission, to come up with effective responses, and that includes strong statements rejecting hate and its expression in our local communities when incidents do happen. But we've also had, in various communities around the county, we've been part of supporting gatherings that have, for example, there's been some that have the theme of hate has no home here, to voice opposition to hate with municipal officials and religious leaders. Communities have chosen to display the hate has no home here signs and yard signs, for example, as a way to combat hate. And the one area where we particularly think that we can be helpful is helping communities to engage in conversations in areas that have been affected by expressions of hate. Been a series of conversations that the Commission has moderated in Red Hook, specifically around the topic of a mural in the village center, which some community members felt depicted a racist image. Another example is that we moderated a community forum for the village of Tivoli to address some issues that had arisen there around perceived discrimination around police and community relations there. So these are just some examples of what we can do. We really do think it's important that something be done when hate happens, and so we hope that we can engage in conversations with local communities to find the best resources or ways to address the issue when it comes up. With that, I will pass it back to Daniel.
Thank you, Jen. So as we started this project or this outreach effort, some of the goals that we have is to try to build a bigger awareness of the Commission and the things that we can do so that we can help, especially with local elected leaders, to kind of work with them to find more ways where we can create an environment with more unity when actions of hate occur. One of the frustrations that I certainly have is a lot of time my information is through the Millerton News, through media, and it's oftentimes not always perfect. So it's always best to kind of have the elected leaders that are in that community that's affected to kind of address it with the Commission. So that's something that I think that's very important. And the other thing is just we want to act as a resource with local communities to kind of find ways that we can encourage dialogue, and certainly with a lot of the affected communities that kind of feel disenfranchised, that they feel some way to kind of bring them back to the fold and kind of create some kind of unifying force so they don't feel disenfranchised. Then the other piece of what we're trying to do is, and we kind of came upon this when we had one of our presentations to one of the towns, is that
Could you speak into the microphone?
we would like to have maybe have a liaison that's on the board that we can directly communicate with, and they can communicate with us, so that we can have an ongoing conversation, ongoing discussion about things that we can collaborate with on an ongoing basis. So, as we are currently witnessing in this country ways in which hate in various forms can weaken the fabric of a community and can have a ripple effect across disaffected groups, we want to find ways and work with different communities that have these issues to kind of create an open dialogue to bring people together. So I want to thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'm sure we'll be happy to see if we can answer them. If not, we'll get back to you.
Thank you so much for coming and doing the presentation. We've all been enlightened by the work that you do, which is very important in this day and time.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay.
Can I ask
And
you one
Victoria?
thing?
Certainly.
I do like those signs, the lawn signs with hate has no home here. Where could somebody get those? Would you just order them online, or is there a distribution?
There is a individual that's kind of spearheading that piece of it, and they're not affiliated with us, but they have spoken with us, and I can get you her, I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but I can get you her name and contact information, and you can speak with her, and she'd be happy to kind of, get you the signs. I think right now that she wasn't charging for them last we heard, but she just basically offered them, and if you had, make a donation, that's how she went about it.
So she's just privately going about
Exactly.
doing this on her own?
Yeah.
Well, please thank her for me, because I see them around, and I think they're just a really good, it's hard to find the message that just says we are all, should be respectful.
Right. Sometimes it's just baby steps, and they make a big difference.
Yeah.
And just kind of some visibility that that you're out there, and that
Make sure people know.
that people are supportive of people that are being affected.
Right. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
I'll let him out. I'll let him out, yes. Gives me a chance to stretch a little bit.
There we go.
Is that our projector?
Yes.
I recognize the green hue.
We will, I think we can make some steps in improving this.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for your presentation? He's just waiting as soon as Michelle gets back.
Yeah, if you want to queue it up, you can click on the link and we'll... and then just hit present. Thank you, Jim.
Should I escape?
Nope, you're good.
No, I guess I'm good.
Do you want the lights off, Mike, or are you good? I guess we're
Showing it directly.
presenting directly.
I'm just going to follow your cues here. Are you ready?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say next, then And Victoria, if you just push the right arrow, it should just go to the next slide.
You don't have a clicker?
I would love to have a clicker. I don't have a clicker.
My Surface Pen is a clicker.
I know.
I love it. I use it all the time.
I did it by accident once. I didn't know. I was just like fidgeting with the pen. It's like,
What?
Get your mic a little closer. I'm not getting it very well.
mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you be sharing the presentation?
Yeah, we can do
Or do I
that.
have to shut the lights so I can see?
Uh,
Share it, it'd be just as good.
I can share it.
Do you need the lights shut off? No, he has it on the TV screen. Oh,
You guys need the lights off, that's fine. I'm showing it direct.
oh, okay.
Oh, he has the,
He has it on the
he has it on
TV.
there.
Would you like the lights shut off in here?
Why not? Make it cozy. You got it, Jim? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Oh, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Movie night.
That's a little rush for
All right, I'll go ahead and get started, Victoria. You all right? Great. So this is really just meant to consolidate the feedback that Vicki and I have received over the last, say, 6 months regarding Wassaic Park and speaking to some of the residents and some of the kids down there. And we wanted to just bring all of this information together in one presentation for the rest of the board, and then hope to have a discussion about, what ideas we might want to see realized down there. Next.
Oops, what am I doing here? There we go. Is this it?
So, yeah, very, very simply, I think we have this large chunk of land down in Wassaic. There is some park equipment there. There is a baseball diamond that used to be used, but hasn't been used in a long time. And I think it would be a good exercise if we as a board just had a discussion about some ideas, and obviously we should loop in the rec commission as well and our director, but we can share this presentation and these concepts and ideas with those folks after this meeting. We wanted to bring it here to our colleagues here first. Next, please. So I think fundamentally the challenge is that Wassaic Park is underutilized at the moment. It doesn't really offer a ton of amenities. It has not historically been maintained that well, and part of that is just because it doesn't get a lot of use, quite frankly. We all on the board, we've fielded numerous complaints from residents in the hamlets regarding maintenance, safety, and safety concerns are a large part of the feedback that we heard, and just general access to the park, and some concerns about lack of amenities. There's certain specific site challenges about this park. It's a bit of a remote location. Parking is an issue. As I mentioned, a lot of parents that we heard from had just some security concerns, not necessarily about crime so much, just that their kids might be out there sort of far away from the center of the hamlet. And then there's some environmental concerns that we would have that are introduced by the proximity of Wassaic Creek. Next, please. So quick overview of the parcel. It's a little hard to see on the map. I hope you guys can all see it, but it's about 13, almost 13-acre parcel, which also includes, by the way, our highway garage and staging area there. This parcel is right behind Pauling Corp. And as we all know, eventually in the coming years, the highway garage will be relocating. Victoria, the site for the new highway garage has been secured. That's down on...
Yes,
on
next to the State Highway Garage on 22.
next to the State Highway Garage on 22. So in the coming years, we'll see the sort of little peninsula there at the top of this site map become available for another town use, and it's something to think about. There's two maps here side by side. One is just the elevation, and the other is the satellite view. The elevation shows some of the sort of, it shows the Wassaic Creek there in blue, but also some of the flood-prone areas. It is a pretty marshy, I mean, it's Wassaic, so yes, it's a little damp. But the Wassaic Creek does enter the parcel at the top right, runs really all the way down through it, and exits at the bottom left of the parcel. So that said, it is sort of, out of the center of the hamlet, but the hamlet of Wassaic's not very big. And currently, the main access to the park is by a trail that runs from the intersection, from the rail crossing in the center of Wassaic, along the side of the train tracks there, along the side of Pollingcorp, and then you end up back in the little parking area there in the entrance to the park. Parking is a challenge at the moment, but that may be a good use for some of the, soon to be reclaimed highway garage land in the future. The other thing to note, I think, is if you look at the very top of this satellite map, or actually, if we go to the next slide, I think I have a better map here. Park is in this map is down at the bottom. You can see the sort of cleared area there that used to be the ball field. But the path that leads to the park is right smack in the middle of the hamlet at the rail crossing, and our new rail trail currently ends directly across the street from that. So it's sort of the entrance to Wassaic Park is right across the street from Borden Park, which is right across the street from the rail trail. And we have this kind of connected recreational infrastructure there a little bit. And of course, Pollingcorp's parking lot is there, where a lot of people use that parking lot on the weekend if they're in town and parking is tight. Wassaic Projects across the street, Lantern, Post Office, and Kelsey's are all right around the corner there. Next, please. Some of, I know we've been discussing the park for a long time. One of Victoria's goals has been to ensure that it is ADA accessible, any new equipment we put in, looking at the grading of the entrance to the park. A while back, there was a fishing spot built. I don't know if you guys recall exactly when that was.
That was Ian Holback, had put down some rocks and helped organize a little fishing access right as you cross the bridge and then walk down. It's on the right. So those giant big boulder blocks helped you get down to the creek without getting muddy, and you could put your fishing line in.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I think that might be our only town official fishing spot. But
and with the HVA has been interested in when I showed them the what we got from Parkitect.
Yeah.
One of the things Parkitect recommended that there be a handicap accessible path in the park to the fishing, because there's a wheelchair wouldn't be able to get down on the rocks.
Right.
To move up farther, and then they were interested in helping us with that, to actually make a handicap accessible path to the stream, so it would be easier for people to fish.
Yeah, I think we should, as part of our planning, definitely take accessibility concerns into consideration. Obviously, we have the folks who reside in the hamlet and the kids who live there who use it, and that's some of the feedback that Vicki and I will present to the board now. One of the things that I've thought a lot about is what might the town be able to do there that is not only beneficial to the residents of the hamlet, but serves to bring folks in from outside of town. And hopefully the idea is they will patronize our local businesses down there. They will spend time in the hamlet, go to the Wassaic Project, go to Kelsey's, just generally anything we can do to bring people in. We heard a lot about parents' concerns about their kids being back there because there weren't a lot of folks back there. And if we could bring people in, find a reason to bring people in, I think that would be beneficial. Next, please. So starting early this year, I just sent an email around to folks that I knew that had kids in the hamlet. I asked them to pass it around. There was a link to a shared spreadsheet. And I just asked anybody to throw down any ideas that they might have for the park. Some of the feedback I got was pretty straightforward. The swings were either out of repair, so more swings would be nicer. Just generally a repair of the existing equipment. Again, we heard safety concerns. Would there be a way for the town to put a light in or better signage stating the park was closed at dusk? Perhaps an emergency phone or cameras just for security. I know we have a similar arrangement at Beekman Park. We could discuss what it would take to bring it to Wassaic Park. And then we had some adult feedback that, perhaps some adult uses would be nice down there. I'll give credit to Gay Parisi. She suggested a dog park would be nice down there for people to bring their dogs and just have their dogs socialize, and folks could get together and see their friends, etc. Bocce court. I personally love bocce. I know that. It is an attractive game for older folks. And then some suggestions regarding perhaps a skate park or a bike park. So that, again, was just informal outreach that we did over email in January. And then in June, Vicki, do you want to talk about the sort of informal discussion you had at the park?
Well, so I was down there trying to figure out whether the whole reason why I got involved was really because it sounded like we needed to tear down the existing playground, and I wasn't positive that that was necessary. I know it was built, I think around 2011, and it was, about $10,000. It wasn't an expensive game time addition, but it was done, and I knew that there were some missing parts, and I knew that we had trouble with the weeds growing up underneath it. And so I just, in talking to Megan Chamberlain really is the one who spearheaded this and said, Vicki, I think we can fix it. I don't think we need to tear it down. So I started pulling the kids that I saw down there. I could see them kind of congregating, and then I just sat down with them at the picnic table and said, do you mind if I join you and ask you some questions?
Could we go to the next slide? Sorry.
They are the ones who really encouraged us to go ahead and fix what we had. And Megan helped, and Sean Howard helped try and identify the missing parts, and we ordered them. And so for about $3,700, we're going to go ahead and fix those parts, and the mulch has been added. The bolster that had been pushed off to the side was found, and it now has 6 to 8 inches of proper mulch underneath it. So thank you, Sean Howard and others. And then the kids really echoed just what Damien had said prior in his prior one. It was over and over again. They want they want swings that are higher. They can't get on, there's like 1 or 2 swings. So if, there's 6 of them, they have to wait their turn. They don't go very high. They're really for kids. So swing sets is number 1. And I would say a slide, a decent slide would be a huge thing. So I think what we have to do is make another pod that's appropriate for the 10 to 15, 14-year-old kids who use it now. The ones that we have now are really slated for a younger set with the telescope and more interactive things. There's some different age variations, but for the most part, the monkey bars are way too low, and they wanted them either raised up, but we have to address these kids who are looking at equipment that is not appropriate for the ones who are using it.
Actually, the next slide, if you go to that, Victoria. So we did hear from some older kids.
Yeah,
We held a virtual Zoom call with parents and kids in the hamlet.
Yeah.
And we heard that was exactly what Vicki was saying. And Vicki, you took 2 pages of notes here, which I have, and I can run through quickly, but I think you just...
I mean, really, I heard it over and over again from the kids. They were very clear. I asked them about the basketball court. You know, some of them said it would be nice to have equipment down there because they get down there and they don't have a basketball and they don't have a baseball. And, you know, some of them wanted the baseball diamond put back because their family loves baseball and that's what they do. So there was a lot of, you know, different ideas, more sports oriented, you know, more soccer, more baseballs, basketball, and maybe facilitate that and redo the court and maybe make it longer. But I think there's some competing uses here that we're going to have to get a professional layout and say, we'll address the people who love sports, we'll address the people who want more passive adult activities. We have to address the age group that currently feels they do not have equipment that's appropriately sized and skill set.
Yeah, just looking at your notes, Vicki, from this virtual town hall, shade was another thing that we had on there. Jungle gym type sort of pathways of equipment.
You know how they're interconnected fun things where you climb up a ladder on one side and then you slide down the other side, or you go across a bridge and you climb down, and you know, that's an interconnected balance, agility, fun thing. Yeah. But on a bigger, grander scale. I come from Stanfordville, where my child grew up, and Stanfordville has a phenomenal jungle gym that just goes on, and it was a community-built one. So I encourage, they all thought Tribute Gardens, if they ever had a model playground where they would say, that's what I want. They pointed to two, Wilcox Park down in Dover, and I think it was Millbrook Tribute Gardens that has a giant slide, all these different interesting swings that are appropriately sized so you can get a good swing.
Wilcox is in Lyman, outside of Pine Plains.
The one down in
That's
Dover
Boise
is the one that they wanted.
Yeah, the one in Dover is Boise.
Okay, Boys
Yeah.
Park, I
It's
apologize.
enormous.
It's a great one, yeah.
And then, you know, it wasn't just kids who actually joined that little virtual call. We had some adults from the community join as well. Stacy suggested maybe just a simple gazebo where folks could, you know, go
Get some
and
shade,
get some
watch their
shade.
kids.
That's right. Sit while their kids are playing and sort of stay out of the way. But again, safety being a concern, and that's mostly the feedback from that. So it was a good little session we had there. If we can go to the next slide, please. So just to review some goals for a successful plan. Next slide. We've solicited some community input. Obviously, we should have a conversation as a group. You know, as I mentioned before, I would love to find a way to use that space that would also serve as a secondary benefit for our local businesses in the area. You know, Wassaic is our second business district. There's currently a post office and, you know, 4 businesses. It'd be great to expand that and put some attention on redeveloping that business center. But I think critical to it all is how do we get funding to do what we might want to do? And, you know, there are some funds in the rec budget, but I think that any ideas that we have that might be eligible or good candidates for any grant funding, I think, you know, are things we should certainly explore. And Victoria, you mentioned the Housatonic
HVA,
HVA.
Valley Association.
We did have a call with them. I think it was last Friday. They reached out to me and Vicki, and we didn't have time to connect, but they're just starting the process of the planning. And so what I recommended that they do is to schedule some time to come and present where they are in their plan to the full board, and then see if there's a way for us to coordinate our planning with the planning that they're doing, because they do have a lot of grant.
Well, they would actually, you know, for the fishing, be able to do the fishing, you know, they want to work with us, and they would co-support a grant for us The problem we've had is we applied for a community development block grant. However, we didn't get it because Wassaic Park is in a floodplain.
Yeah.
And we also applied to the CFA, and we didn't get that one either. So, I mean, there's probably other places, we can look at, but those two, and there isn't, because of the COVID pandemic, there isn't a CFA this year. There aren't any
Wow, it's terrible.
Funds. Grants to really apply for. There might be some grants, individual, but they're not part of the consolidated funding application. But we also, we do have a recreation capital fund also with funds in it, because $1,200 of our money we get from the cell tower automatically goes in there every month. And I think it's up around $79,000.
Yeah, I think if we go to the next slide, actually, I think we used some of those funds for some of the maintenance, the recent maintenance we did, perhaps, not sure, but I think in general, over the last 3 months, I mean, kudos to Vicki for spearheading this and organizing, and absolutely big thanks to our highway department and Sean. But there's been a lot of maintenance done at the park, and more on the way. And if you haven't been down there in a while, it's worth taking a walk and checking it out. Vicki, have you heard any latest updates on the equipment?
I think they have to install the parts that I don't think yet have come in. We just were checking back with Sean, and I hadn't heard back, but I don't believe we've received the parts. But those will go on. And and I know the split railing fence has been repaired, so it's all getting there.
Yeah, I think, but for us as a group, it's just maybe if we could discuss in general sort of maintenance program for all of our parks and facilities, and that's probably a conversation we should have with our rec director and possibly the commission. But it would be great just to have, like, hey, I walked, I went and checked out the park twice this month, for 6 months out of the year or something like that. Something as simple as that, because if we are more proactive about checking on the maintenance and the status of things, then we'll likely be able to address them before we hear about it first via complaint.
About how many people use it on a daily basis right now?
The park?
Park, yeah.
It's hard to say.
I see kids and now bicyclists coming down,
Yeah.
but mostly there's a group of kids who use it, and they're probably there 3 or 4 days of the week. I mean, I see them around 3 o'clock is when they hang out there.
Yeah. It's used daily.
Yeah, I mean, there are probably other groups. That's just what I happen
Yeah.
to. I'm going to the post office and I see the kids and I drop over and talk to them. But
You're looking to draw more people there. Are you talking about within the community of Amenia or outside the community?
both.
Yeah. I mean, so
I think there needs to be better signage, because I don't think
that's a huge.
Yeah,
huge
nobody
there's
even
no
knows how to
signage.
get there.
There's no
Yeah.
signage to really say Wassaic Park this way.
Yeah. That's a great idea. That's a simple thing to do. But Jim, to your question, like if we could find recreational reasons for adults to go down there, I mean, I thought the dog park was a great idea because it basically costs nothing to build, it costs a little bit to maintain, but hopefully it would bring neighbors out who'd bring their dogs, and then they could sit and,
Yeah, I think the
spend some
back
time.
part of the park,
Yeah.
the back part of the field that's by the fence would be a good place for a dog park.
But I think what you're getting at, Jim, is just the value of an investment. Like, how is it worth investing a lot of taxpayer funds in something that may or may not get a lot of use? And, just to be frank, we did hear from parents some parents were like, don't bother making a huge investment back there. I don't want my kids going back there. So I think we need to address.
It is kind of isolated.
Yes.
We need to address.
I've never been there. I'd like to take a look at it myself.
Happy to, 3 or 4 o'clock in an afternoon, Saturday, Jim, let's meet at Borden Park and we'll walk down there.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a
it'd
nice
be-
walk.
It's a nice walk. You also have to learn how to drive down there because you wouldn't know. If you were intended to drive down there, you wouldn't know to turn left on Borden Lane and then left at the,
That's
it
right.
doesn't look like you're heading to a park at all. There's no sign.
Right.
You have to just know what you're doing.
You have to dodge the semi-trucks behind
Yeah,
Pauling to
it's an
cross
odd-
the narrow little bridge.
Odd entrance.
But I think that should be a primary concern of ours for any concept, is just, understanding that if we are going to spend money, is the juice worth the squeeze?
I just have a question. Are you finished? Because I just wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a huge piece of property. It's huge. It has a lot of potential, but it also has a lot of drawbacks to it. I like the idea of being able to people to go down to the stream to fish and stuff, but that's going to require planning to make something accessible to everyone, all ages, to be able to get down there and go there. And some of the ideas are really good. The bocce court's good. All of these things are good. What I was thinking is there a way for us to get some sort of grant to have someone who's a professional who understands the lay of the land, knows that it's a floodplain, knows that it's a floodplain, or that it's a lot of construction would have to be to the land, because I think getting someone who can address all of those issues that might come up, and then come with a design, I think would be really beneficial. Because I think I like the idea of the pavilion you want to put down there. You make it large enough, make it with a cement base. You could put picnic table in there. Families could come, people could come.
Well, actually, Parkitect did give us a plan.
Yeah, I have a rendering.
But they didn't charge us for it. They just came down and looked at the area and said, well, you could do, they were the ones that had the idea about
If you go two slides ahead.
putting a path for, next one?
Yeah, next one. This is the Parkitect.
Putting a path to, to the stream.
To the stream.
That was handicap accessible. That was their idea. One part of their idea also was the gazebo idea, to have some
Yes.
place for parents to sit.
But
Right.
Michelle, I think you're spot on. I mean, what you're saying is basically we need a master plan. We need a site plan.
A master site plan that addresses all of the conservation issues, if you would like to say that, about the park, and be able to have a total plan. You need some sort of shade down there, like some sort of garden spots, to make it attractive. If you have a site plan like that, it would be pleasing to the eye, and also when you have certain gardens that produce different fragrances, or different plants
The
have
butterfly garden.
different touches, the feel of the certain plants, You could make it, you don't have to make that one huge. You could make it small, like for the youngest of children, so they could go in or even adults, senior adults could go in and you could smell certain mints. There's certain flowers, there's herbs, there's a variety of things that have different textures and colors and stuff, and they're seasonal would be for us is spring to fall, but still in all, and it doesn't have to cover a vast area. It could just cover a certain section so that you could be able to traverse the area. You could walk to see the flowers or what have you, or the other thing, or go down to the stream to fish, or stay with your children by the small activity center.
It is like you're surrounded by nature down there, because you've got the two hills on either side of
Yes,
you.
you do.
And you really just,
Well, there's DEC hiking trails there too.
right
Yes.
behind it, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a DEC fishing spot and hiking trails right
So
behind
that
it.
would be nice to be able to have the total, like you say, the master plan to connect all of those things. Because then would be able to attract not just the people who live in Wassaic, but the people of Amenia, people of Dover, people across the track in Connecticut.
What about the trail to the train? Would that have a positive impact on it?
I think it would, and if you think about it, we already have. I mean, that trail is getting a lot of use.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Oh, yeah, I
amazing.
see them all the time there.
But we have all of these people on bikes
Yes.
basically being, depositing themselves right at the entrance to the Wassaic Park, right? Like they're coming off the trail, they're right there. If we gave them a reason to continue down to Wassaic Park, they probably would go. One of the concepts that we have, so this is the playground concept that Parkitect put together. They did provide a sort of larger plan. I think it would be good to loop in HVA and, perhaps, no disrespect to their vision there, but obviously they are focused on the playground equipment. That's their business.
That's fine. We can have somebody focusing on the playground equipment. We could make a decision that that's appropriate for us at this place and time, and then have the other things, someone understanding how to put together like a sensory garden. I believe they're called sensory gardens, and that you can go through even as a senior or adult, children. It helps a lot of children, like people, autistic people or autistic children. It helps create the sensories and stuff. There's a lot of things you can do with such a huge piece of land.
It's enormous.
But how can I say? Section it or categorize it into different areas, but not so they're disconnected, but they're joined. So they can join, and you can follow your path, and you can go to wherever it is that you would like to go. And I think it could be a valuable place, but we have to address the floodplain. We have to address.
You can't really address it.
Well,
Build around it.
Nothing to address.
we have to say this is a floodplain, so
It's
it's
my knowledge, it's only flooded once, and I think that was in 2007 when we had, we had rain
the big flood.
everywhere.
Yeah, we had it everywhere.
So-
But it's good to and even to put signs up that denote that.
Yeah.
This is a historic floodplain. It only did it 50 years ago, but that's the way life is. Or even other things.
Well, that's, the floodplain would would actually tell you what you could put where.
We could put
Right.
exactly.
Based on exactly where it did flood.
I
And I think the back end of it is really what flooded.
that where the baseball field used to
Right.
be. Yeah.
So we should.
2007 was really a culvert that has been addressed at the old Richard Allen Sand and Gravel.
Oh, right.
That has been fixed, and we haven't had that
Somebody
kind of...
tried to blame beavers. Was it beavers?
No, it was undersized, and it flooded around there, and then all of a sudden it just let loose.
It was-
Yeah, and it just inundated very quickly Wassaic, 2007 and 2009.
Yeah, it really broke. I mean, I just couldn't handle all the water.
Yeah,
It's
normally
been
it's dissipated in a more normal thing.
It's
and that
been
has
replaced.
Yeah, so that's been solved.
So, look, I don't want to take up the whole meeting, but the site plan is a great idea. I am fully supportive of that. I think we could all poke around and look for firms that specialize in that type of thing, get estimates. Some of the folks that we spoke to did provide an estimate. So Parkitects offered to do a version of a site plan. Again, it was sort of focused on their role with the equipment. One of the other vendors I spoke to about a bike related activity also offered to do a site plan. I think their cost was like $7,500 or something for the site plan. If we go to the next slide, I just want to cover the concepts. I've heard from a couple of people in Wassaic that they would love to have a skate park there. I mean, it's a concrete structure. It's,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think they tried to do that in Boyce Park. I haven't been down there in a while. They did put some sort of skate park in there for a while, but I haven't been there to actually see where that location was down there. And I'm not sure if it worked out well for them or not.
You could talk to Sean, because he works there.
Yeah.
we should do that. I think what I was hearing was that a skate park would be valuable because there were none in the surrounding area.
Oh,
So,
that's a possible,
but maybe they tried something there and they didn't execute it for a reason. But there were some pretty passionate advocates for a skate park.
Right.
It is a unique concept. I think it would bring in kids from the surrounding area.
Right.
Then the last slide is, Jim, to your point, sort of a bike park. basically. So there's a company that builds, if you guys all recall the BMX days, like big dirt tracks, and that would be a nightmare to maintain. We're not talking about that, but there was a company that builds these paved bike courses. And they're called pump tracks, but they're good for kids of all ages, 3-year-olds on, push scooters. They're good for people who want to organize and have a race. And there are actually a couple of leagues in the surrounding area. So out in Torrington, there's a course. There's another course across the river just north of Newburgh. And there really isn't anything like that in between. So, another option might be to think of some sort of bike. I don't know if you want to play the video. It's a little bit X Gamesy, but you're welcome to if you want.
Can you ride your skateboard on that?
Yeah, click play for a second, and you could see there's, you'll see little kids on skateboards and scooters, and then you'll see these guys with helmets, flying over jumps.
Arrow
And,
in the middle.
right, so,
Oh, I see,
yeah.
there it is. Okay, I didn't see it.
Hopefully it won't be too loud.
Oh, yeah, see, that's,
So yes, there's a lot of like jumping and jazzy stuff, and that's what the folks do that would compete on a track like that.
Right.
But, for everyday use, it's just appropriate for 3-year-olds and skateboarders and whatever. It's a very similar concept to a bike park. That's me, by the way. That was a joke. That was
that's
not me.
incredible.
Have you ridden on one of these?
I have ridden on that one, on the one they built one in Brooklyn temporarily, they were clearing a site to build a building, and they built one there. Yeah, in between, getting, right.
Who gets sued if one of these kids breaks his neck?
Great question. Great question. So Vicky actually,
You can probably stop.
we can
now.
probably pause, yeah.
Just hit the middle. Just hit the picture, anywhere on the picture, pause.
Vicky asked me the same question. We'd have to talk to Ian. But in general, I think that I actually pulled up the state law.
Well, you can have everybody sign a release before they use it, but it's not necessarily going to be valid. And if there's some kind of a defect in the manufacture of the design,
Yeah, that's something, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
we're in big
liable.
trouble.
Yeah.
So I'll read this little excerpt here. So most states and localities are subject to Tort Claims Act, although Tort Claims Act may permit an action to be brought against a public entity for alleged negligence. Tort Claim Acts typically include a provision that immunizes public entities for claims arising out of the exercise of their discretion, as well as include other defenses and limitations on the liabilities of public entities. In some instances, a state's recreational use statute may shield a public entity from liability for bicycle accidents on bikeways and trails, except when the public entity willfully and maliciously failed to warn or guard against a known dangerous condition, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know the answer. I'm not a lawyer, but I think, in the same way that we build a rail trail, and as long as things are
I am a
maintained.
lawyer, and I don't know the answer either.
Yeah.
I will say that I've been involved in the horse industry, and the Greenway, we're a Greenway Community Act, there was some tort reform that directly addressed this to make it possible to reduce the liability of people who offer this kind of, I don't know if it's this particularly, but horses, bike riding, if you're allowing people to go across your property on a greenway with bicycles, or you allow an easement for horse activities, it greatly reduce your liability. Yes, we do waivers, but at the same time, there's something, also farms. I mean, my husband runs Fishkill Farms, and there is liability that has happened in the last 10, 15 years that make it possible to do things that with a lot less liability. So there is something that has happened, and we need to look into that. My husband can probably quote it verse because he's very aware of the improved situation.
Well, Damien and Vicki, I want to reach out just as a parent of the next generation of your 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds where to go. I think this is a great idea to bring something new and to help put Amenia on the map for something different and unique. I mean, I know everybody's raving right now because of our drive-in. How cool would that be to bring something like this? And as much as I promote, you know, the park down there and new equipment, well, we already have equipment, we have a beautiful playground behind this town hall.
Yeah.
That is intended for the young, all the way up to the 14, 15-year-olds here. As well as, you know, Beekman Park also has a great park as well. So, I mean, I think to think outside the box and bring a whole new activity and a new playing level, kudos to both of you for finding this. I think this would be...
Well, this was Damien's idea. I didn't have any idea these existed.
I was just thinking along the same lines as Jim, which is like, we built this thing that's going to bring all these people on bikes into Wassaic.
Yeah.
Like, how do we keep them there? And you know, this concept, it's a little out there, but we might be able to find...
I mean, it doesn't have to be that big and elaborate. I mean,
Right.
Millerton has a cute little skate park, and, you know, so does Wingdale. But to do something a little different and add a little twist...
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to have the whole thing, but even if you can maybe do it in stages or something, I don't know how much you want to go around, but I think this is something that would really attract a lot of the kids in the age range that is looking for activity.
Yeah. I think we should start with a site plan and ask whatever expert we find to help us put together a detailed plan to consider things like this. And, you know, maybe we can find some grant money or corporate money or, you know, sort of league or association money to help us build it. I think that's it. We took a long time. I'm sorry, that went over a little bit.
Oh, really?
Lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
The way
All right. It's a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay. Supervisors report. Wassaic Trail of the Train update. The Trail of the Train is open. The town is waiting for one more bid for fencing. Metro North has given approval for a fence on the right-of-way as long as the town maintains it. The grant writer has sent all of the required information to DOT for grant reimbursement. NYMER required signage for the trail will be ordered and other signage discussed. Please complete the census information. There is information on the website and on Channel 22 on how to be counted. The town of Amenia now has a census response of 49%, up from 44%. There will be census workers coming to your door in order to assist people in completing the census, in addition to having a census worker at locations where multiple people can be reached. The information collected by the census helps inform the federal government on many key decisions, including the allocation of funding for schools, hospital, community organizations, and much more, as well as legislative redistricting and congressional representation. For each person not counted by the census, New York State loses more than $3,000 in federal aid. Rural communities like the town of Amenia are the most heavily impacted by an undercount. Town of Amenia COVID-19. The town hall departments are available by in-person appointment only, in addition to phone, mail, email, and secure lockbox on the building to the left of the front door. Everyone is required to wear a face covering before entering. There are face masks available inside the front door if someone needs one. There is hand sanitizer available in the hall. Each department has been given a visitor sign-in sheet, which also requires contact information. Social distancing, face coverings, hand washing, and hand sanitizer protocols are followed in the Amenia Town Hall. Please continue to wear face coverings, be mindful of social distancing. Also remember to not touch your face, wash your hands often, and use hand sanitizer. Be well and stay safe. Town Clerk report.
Good evening. Earlier this week, Constable Kligner circulated an email requesting the hiring of 2 additional officers. So at this time, I'm requesting the board to grant the authority for me to advertised for the position as it was requested.
Motion to authorize the advertisement of 2 constables.
Second?
Second. Would you second too?
Yeah, I think you.
Third.
Okay, so we're almost done with roll call then. Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Samoji?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Okay, and this evening I'm presenting 3 reports that have also were circulated prior to the meeting. The monthly building reports for July's monthly report for the issuance of 7 new building permits totaling $1,300, along with 2 renewals totaling $350. They're also continuing with certificate of occupancy searches, which they've done 9 for the month of July in the amount of $1,275. In addition, we had 10 permits of $150, along with 1 vacant land registration in the amount of $125, which brings their monthly total of $3,200. And if there's any zoning reports, Judy would be sending them to us, so I haven't received any. Megan has provided us with the August 20th, highway report, indicating that they're continuing to maintaining the roads, mowing, and replacing some more drainage pipes. They're also out completing some blacktop patching. They've worked with helping the Recreation Committee in replacing new fabric and mulch at the Wassaic Park. She also reports that due to the storms of Isaiah that hit us, causing lots of tree damage and brush, and she worked during the storm to make sure that all of the roads were passable. Since then, she's also worked with Division of Homeland Security and submitted the reports regarding the labor and equipment costs that were used during the storm in hopes to get reimbursement from FEMA. I'm also presenting the July 2020 monthly update water report that indicates that Marco, with the work that he's done, indicating work such as the low pressure that was reported throughout the district, and several parcels that had complaints of the same. He's also in communication with the water billing and working on resolving some billing issues. Worked on water main leaks and with the power outage, and reports on the well matters and the generator failure. Those are the only 3 reports, so I present those reports for approval.
Really quick question.
Acceptance, I should say, not approval, acceptance.
Yes.
I'm
I
sorry.
accept. Quick question about the generators. He had mentioned in an email that during the power outage, he had a couple that were regularly failing, and he wanted
He
to
had one that failed.
completely, and so he replaced that, or what's?
No, we replaced the part
Okay,
that failed. I believe it was the water pump.
got it. Yes, do you want a motion to accept?
Because now I'm going to be posting these on the website once you accept them.
Make a motion to accept the reports as presented by the town clerk.
Thank you, Damien.
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Samoji and Morris?
Yes.
Thank you. Also presenting to the board for approval this evening is the vouchers of the abstract for August 2020. Tonight I'm presenting General Fund A, $97,740.12. Highway Fund, $17,426.17. Amenia Lighting, $1,233.89. Wassaic Lighting, $461.61. Amenia Water, $9,039.68, for a total of $125,901.47.
I motion that we accept the authorization for payment of these items.
Second.
Thank you. Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Samoji?
Yes.
And Morris?
Yes.
And let's try to get back to a little normalcy. I'm presenting for the Amenia Fire Company. They are going to bring back the chicken barbecue.
Oh,
They are looking to hold a chicken barbecue on Saturday, October 10th. Dinners will be available for pickup from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. at the Amenia Firehouse on Mechanic Street. Tickets are $15 each on a pre-order basis. You are able to call area code 845-418-8633 to get that pre-orders. I also have tickets available in the town clerk's office, so anyone who is looking for a ticket, feel free to call me here at the office, and I'll be sure to meet you at the door, and I can take your money, and I'll give you a ticket.
I'll be right there.
All right, so Michelle would hold you to that. It is, we are doing takeout only,
Yes.
but it's still, it's, just trying to bring something back.
That's good.
It's for, local. And that'll conclude the town clerk's report for this evening.
Okay, we have some discussion items. The Wassaic Fire Company will be submitting to the planning board a request for approval of a lot line adjustment, and they are requesting that the town will waive the fees for them.
I move that we authorize the waiving of a fee for the Wassaic Fire Company's lot line change.
I second it.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Smoji?
Yes.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to mention before we go any farther, that you have the monthly operating reports and balance sheets in your packet.
Yes.
Just want to make sure you receive them, and if you had any questions, you can contact me or the bookkeeper.
Okay.
I will just say that I was surprised that with this month's vouchers that we put the $5,000 that we paid to HVA for the community's funding came out of community beautification.
Yeah, I sent an
That put us
email
over,
to Denise
so, yeah.
and asked her if we needed a separate line for that under planning.
What did she think? Because
I
it's
didn't
for
get
a
an answer
grant,
yet.
right? I mean, we did this to support them in their,
I know, but
application
we
for a
still have to
grant.
pay a portion of it.
right. So I was just wondering if that is the correct thing. I think if you look into it, I will feel fine. I know it overdraws the line, and communication tries very hard to stay within its
Well-
allotted budget, so.
Well, when I
it
get
blew
through
us
with
out
the
of water.
transfer of funds, it won't be overdrawn anymore.
Well, yeah.
But, yeah, I have a question into her about a couple lines in the budget. One of them was that, and the other one, the town pays to service the generators, and we usually put it under the maintenance line, but since we don't really own the buildings that the generators are in, I asked her if we needed to have a separate line.
To make it clear, that's
make
not
it clear.
maintenance of our building, it's for the
It's-
fire companies.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So
No, I
I've
think
asked her for clarification on that, and those changes will be in the tentative budget.
The other thing I would just like to point out is that it appears we're overdrawn on a lot of our recreation lines. So is it possible I would just recommend that we bring in our new rec director to talk about how our budgeting works and how we're going to budget for next year, and also about some of the plans that we have. I think it would be nice to have her come and do a regular report to the town board, written or ideally in person, as Daniel came in and spoke to us. I think it's time to clarify, at least for my purposes, my understanding of what I'm signing for, because I know I'm overdrawing lines by signing those vouchers, so.
Well, it's one line that was overdrawn, was the Amenia Park CE line. The other ones are okay.
They are, okay. Well, I know that when I bought the baseballs, it was beyond.
Right, well, I agree with Vicki that, because she works for us as the recreation director, she should present to us what's going on, because sometimes, I mean, myself, I saw a voucher, and I'm saying, why does she want baseball shirts? We don't have baseball, you know? And then I had to trace down what was actually happening to figure out why it was
Oh,
happening.
they were doing some informal
Yes, that's why.
scrimmaging, so.
Right, so I had to trace that down to say, oh, okay, that's why we're doing that, because I didn't understand why she was doing it when I knew we had a whole big box of shirts. So I think if she just, you know, came and visited us and explained things, or did a monthly report that just said,
Here's what I accomplished
It's
with
ju-
my, 15 hours a
That's
week.
that- here's what-
Because I think the question arises without a lot of recreation going on due to the cancellation of our
Yes.
summer camp, due to the cancellation of a lot of activities.
Yes.
What projects was she able to accomplish
Yes.
because of all this freed up time? And what do we need to budget for next year? And what can
Exact.
we look forward to seeing with, is the brochure going to happen? That
Yes.
lists all of our activities?
Yes.
What can we do to
Yes.
make
I
this
agree.
more vibrant?
I think we should have her come in. I think my impression, based on just some recent emails with her, is that she would like to present and be more involved, so.
so definitely, she's more than welcome. We welcome her with open arms.
Yeah. Especially during budget season, so we can
Especially
start-
during budget season, because this is going to be a tough budget season for us, so.
Yep.
And we
Well, I
won't-
don't think, well, the Recreation Commission hasn't met either, so
And they haven't either, so
they haven't
done
really
anything, so.
done anything.
So it's, I mean, it'd be nice for them to come down eventually when things settle down a little bit, since we're doing to the budget, to at least give us an idea of what their plans are for next year. So we have an idea, we're clued into, we're going to do this or that, the baseball, the softball. I know they do all of that, but the other things that they might be
We
considering.
can just include them in budget meetings when we
What does-
start them next month.
What, excuse me, I didn't.
Budget meetings, when we do budget meetings next, we can have departments come,
Yes, that would be great.
but that's
think-
next month.
That's
You were
okay.
Also
Budget is coming.
It's coming, I know, it's coming.
paying down our debt on our trail to the train, right? You've gotten some grant money in, and we're paying it off
Yeah,
as
the
the
grant
money
mo- yeah.
gets reimbursed.
Well,
It
that's what we
starts-
did. We sent $200,000 out of grant money, and there was $100,000 from the $500,000 that we borrowed that we weren't going to use. So I used that as a payment back to them, plus the $100,000 from Community Development Block Grant. I haven't received any
So
money.
is the money from the dormitory authority, is that going to? 'cause
No.
That's not happening yet.
No, well, that's not going to happen at all,
Why not?
because
We
they
lost
took it out.
Well, that is a shame. That's a terrible shame.
Yeah, they took it out because we didn't use it right away.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. This is the kind of information that I appreciate hearing about. So
But,
that,
thank heavens, I mean, we did apply and get the additional $250,000.
Right. So that
we got
replaced the-
and then some. But the money that we're waiting for to get reimbursed from the DOT, and the DOT grants from the original and the additional $250,000, I mean, that money will go into the Trail to the Train line to pay down the debt when it comes due in next July.
to reduce our interest that we're paying.
Right.
Right.
Well, it won't reduce the interest, but it'll reduce the principal.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, right. That's how that works. Okay.
Because when we sent the wire transfer to pay off the old ban, we actually sent 2 wire transfers. We sent one from the Oppenheimer funds that we received, and then $200 less, so we could take the $200,000 from our Trail to the Train, a separate account that we have here, and to pay down from money that we received from the grant.
So it's just going to reduce the length of the term of the debt that we have on that.
Well, it'll reduce the principal.
Right.
You know,
Which
whatever
reduces the
funds we
number of
get
years. We can
will
pay it
go
off
into,
faster.
we actually set up a separate account for Wassaic Trail to the Train, so we can keep track of what goes in and what goes out. So, whatever money we get from the DOT will just stay there.
But I think, Vicki, you're specifically asking, are we using that money to pay faster than the repayment schedule
Right.
on the
No,
on
we're
the
not
debt?
allowed to prepay it.
We're not allowed to prepay.
No. We're not allowed to do that, I asked.
But when we pay it off, we pay it off.
Yeah. I mean, in July
So they're
is
not gonna
is when
reduce
the
the
ban
interest.
rolls over. I mean, the ban is only good for 1 year. And actually, there were 3, because what we did is we put the heating ban and the 2 Wassaic trail bans together. And that's how we got such a low interest rate from Oppenheimer.
Got it.
And then what they also did is something I never saw before. They actually gave us money to pay toward the interest. And we had to put that money in a separate account. And then when it comes time to pay the interest, we'll take that out of the account. But one thing I asked is can I put that in an interest-bearing account? And they said yes, so it's in an interest-bearing account. So I want to get every dime I can get from whatever money we have.
So the other question I had is, we're getting low on the Amenia Water District fund balance, and wondered what happens if we exceed our revenues in a particular pay period, if we actually have higher expenses, because normally you would borrow out of a contingency fund, but in fact, if we need to top up those lines, where does that money come from? Because the water district is the water district, and the contingency would be for...
The water district doesn't have a contingency fund. They're not allowed to. You're not allowed to have contingency funds in the special districts. However, they do have, there is a fund balance. I think it's over $50,000. There's still a CD in the water district.
Isn't that a
there's
capital
money-
reserve fund, though, that we were using for capital expenses?
have a
Yeah, well, we were
So it is possible to use
using
that.
for the new valves and new pipes and
I see.
infrastructure.
I see.
Which
When
we
they
can
have a
use.
emergency repair, you're able to tap into that,
Yes, that's what we have
and you
done.
call that capital. Okay, thanks.
And
I
that's what we
appreciate
have
that.
done. So anything that's, that's part of the infrastructure, that
Right.
has to be repaired is capital
Okay,
project repair.
thank you.
But I think we have one more billing to go, and then the one in January, I think. But one of the things that I've done in all the special district is use fund balance to keep the taxes low, and we're not going to be able to do that next year in order to properly fund the water district.
So the water district is going to have some thought put into how we're going to keep this rolling on a much more equitable,
Right.
right.
Do you want me to give some background on the frequency, emergency frequency? The next item on the...
I don't understand it really, so.
So during the power outage, I heard from Wassaic Fire that the system they used to communicate wasn't working because it relies on cell phones, and cell towers were down, and I don't know,
The cell
Dawn...
tower in Amenia or Millerton was down. There were some problems with that.
Yeah.
There's 2 cell towers, and they're right in between 2 of them. There's one in Millerton, I think one in Wingdale, and there was issues with both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Wassaic, I have no cell service ever, but I don't know if Amenia Fire had a similar challenge, Dawn Marie, up here. But, so basically what I heard was that because they rely on cell towers and basically digital walkie-talkies for communication, they're at a disadvantage if there's a power outage. I almost fell out of the truck when the highway truck I was driving, the radio cackled to life and it was at full blast volume. I was, thought terrified me. But Highway has their own frequency and uses sort of, the traditional radio and repeater system. And so what I was hearing from Wassaic Fire was that it would be good if they had a similar system to rely on in an emergency, but that it was expensive to procure your own frequency, set up your own equipment, do all that stuff. As we know, our town and emergency services, they have space available to them on the Metro North Tower, the monopole at Wassaic. That was part of the deal.
I sent you a copy of the contract.
Yep. So they have the ability to put equipment there, but it's still an expensive endeavor to license the frequency.
Yeah,
put the repeaters on.
you have, I actually sent the email to Dana Smith, and he explained there about what you have to do to get a frequency. Because I believe Jeff talked to John Davidson,
Yeah.
and he told him it'd be difficult to obtain a frequency in the spectrum of frequencies we currently use due to current licensing rules and frequencies being already assigned. That decision is made by a frequency coordinator, and they make a recommendation to the FCC. Traditionally, we spend about $1,500 to $2,000 per coordination. There is still no guarantee you will get one. If it does get approved, then someone actually has to purchase and install the radio equipment. So there's a process they need to go through to get that.
Yeah, the reason I even brought it up, because obviously they can, handle and do what they need to do on their own. But the reason I brought it up is because if instead of the 2 fire districts applying for their own separate individual frequencies and paying $2,000 each twice, if there was a way for what's up? Amenia wouldn't do
We
that?
have one.
You have one.
Wassaic uses ours.
Wassaic uses your radio frequency. Okay. I don't know, what was the challenge they experienced during the storm?
The 2 towers, there were issues.
Yeah.
You have a radio frequency, or you have the same, cell-based comm channel that they use?
We have a radio frequency.
Radio, like a taxi dispatch or the highway. Okay.
What we're doing is we're finding it's very difficult to hear on the radios. I don't know what Wassaic's complaints were to you, so I can't comment on that. But the supervisor's been in the town clerk's office when my pager sets off, and I actually replayed it the other day when she came in because the sound went off, and all you get is a muffling sound. It is very difficult to communicate with the way that the system is set up, but I do know that, our chiefs have been having these conversations with the entities that are most appropriate. So I'm not the most appropriate to comment at this type of a setting.
Yeah, I don't know
board,
anything about
but,
any of this.
with the way that it's set up, but I know that it's been a very discussed topic right now, and I'm glad that the commissioner down there brought it to your attention, and you guys are now discussing it. It might be a best avenue for you guys to meet with the appropriate, like our chiefs and our company presidents, and you guys can, in the 2 different commissioner entities, and have this conversation. Would probably be most appropriate to see how you guys could assist in them, if any way, to see that these type of challenges get addressed and maybe corrected. It shouldn't just be because of a storm. It should be every day.
For sure.
So
for sure.
totally.
And the county is offering to help any way they can.
So maybe having you guys involved to get the county to help and it be completed. But these are definitely conversations that are currently and have been ongoing. But, it was definitely brought to her attention the other day when my pager went off, and so it is a challenge to be able to provide volunteer service or any kind of emergency service in the area when our communications fail and go down. And as we all know, we didn't have cell service as well.
No.
So our cell service was completely down, as you know, because it was several days later when I was able to reply to all the 100 text messages that were going on.
I was camped out in the 10-mile parking lot because it's the only place I got
but we had
cell
none.
service.
AT&T was completely down.
So I think a conversation with the chiefs is a great idea. I don't know anything about this, and I certainly am not familiar with the logistical challenges that the fire companies face. The only thing I was suggesting was that if Amenia Fire was considering buying something to upgrade their comms, and if Wassaic was also considering buying something to upgrade their comms, is there a way that the town could buy something that both fire companies could use, as opposed to two individual fire companies buying two of the same thing?
Yeah, I mean,
That's the only-
just seeing the emails, because, I was cut out of the conversation, I would have been able to been prepared to give you more detail as to exactly what's going on with the two different entities, but at this time, I am not going to. And
Well, I think the two fire departments need to have this discussion before we get involved in it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's two different conversations going on, though, for what the needs are versus their own channel. There's two issues to be discussed.
All right, well, anyways, that's what you get for trying to help. And then the last thing was the generators at the two firehouses. Apparently the town, I don't know the history on these, but apparently those were town-funded back in the day, or
18 years ago.
18 years ago. So I only bring to the board's attention that I don't believe Wassaic's worked at all. I think it was completely broken, right?
They broke, their water pump went. So, I mean, Shrek was aware of it and trying to get the parts as fast as he can, because we pay for the service agreement.
We still do.
We always have.
We always have.
We have since they were purchased for them. I'm getting some estimates for generators and looking for funds through Homeland Security to maybe help, because it's a big chunk of money. I actually, talked to one of the Amenia Fire District Commission members and told him that, if we're looking at generators, we need to look at a generator based on what you're eventually going to have. I mean, like Wassaic Firehouse has air conditioning. Are you planning to have air conditioning? It doesn't make sense to get a generator that's just going to fit their needs now,
right,
when they're going to be adding more. So looking for funds. I'm getting estimates from Shrek.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing was water, right? That was the big...
the water pump.
The most critical emergency that we faced during that outage was that a lot of folks in
generators
town
were
didn't know.
tanking all over the place because Amenia lost all the antifreeze, which I talked to Shrek, and he thinks that they might need a water pump also, or they might have a hole in their radiator. But someone was there Monday to take a look at it, because I emailed Aaron to let him know that someone from Shrek was going to look at it. I don't know the result of that. But also in the 18-year generator is also the one in the water district that's going to have to be, because his generator failed too, and he had to get a part for it. So with all these, I mean, it was since we had Armageddon, pretty much, the other generator that failed was at Tally Ho, the one on their water system.
Yes.
So that's why Mike brought ice and water down to them until they got the second one, put in place.
Put in place, yeah.
Well, I think
But
that...
it was like generators were like failing all over.
Dropping like flies. I think if the town is paying to maintain the generators at these locations, it would be great if we knew that we could rely on those sites as being water distribution points if we ever have another situation like we had. We were obviously filling up jugs here at Town Hall, and the Lantern had power, so they were offering water down in Wassaic. But it would be great if people knew that in an emergency, if they had no power, they could go to either firehouse. There was a potable water station that, they could fill up at. And
Well, the worst thing about this whole incident is that it just knocked out communication all over.
All over, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just power in the homes and telephone, it was cell
Internet.
service.
Everything.
I mean, it just went through and trashed everything. So it was just difficult all the way around.
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook was one way of getting to people, and then we, had things on the door and piled up water outside and, kind of manned the town hall for the time. But,
Right.
luckily, people were able to come here and get water and charge their phones and fill up their jugs of water and do whatever needed to be done.
Yeah, and we had a lot of volunteers for this incident that happened to us. A lot of people coming and helping pick up water, pick up dry ice, delivering dry ice.
To their neighbors.
To their
yeah.
neighbors. I had Tally Ho, I had people down there going and delivering, picking up the dry ice and the water here and delivering it around. I had neighbors going out and getting gallons of water from different locations to give to their neighbors and stuff from Tally Ho. And I had the Dover High School donated some little simple breakfasts and lunches, and then the two ladies from Tally Ho gave them out when they went around to the neighbors that they knew could not get out, could not do because they were homebound completely. And also had two gentlemen from Tally Ho delivering the wet ice and the water when it first came down from the big truck, getting that out to people who could not get out and get it. And then another gentleman from the park came and he picked up the dry ice and water, and he was going around through the park. He also volunteered his truck and his time to go down to Brewster and pick up more dry ice and water and stuff like that. So we had so many people coming and helping and volunteering and doing things for people that it was really, really very nice, because the people really here in Amenia, they really look out for each other. They really do.
Yeah, it was very helpful. NDP and the Dutchess County Sheriff did welfare checks down there.
Yes, they
and
did.
then the
Yes.
Wassaic Fire Company went
Yes,
down and
down
did
there too.
door-to-door
They all did that, you
to
know.
see, to help them also.
And of course,
And then, and then when the water came here, we had Erica,
that's right.
Howard, and Katrina,
Right, we had
unloading
Mike
besides Dawn and Chris
and Mike and
and her family.
and everybody. Yeah, we had the town hall. You have to understand, people. The town hall, the folks that work here in the town hall are very dedicated. They go out of their way to help. They do what they can do. And I was told it's called support services, because I may not be able to drive that big truck, but I can certainly help get
Fill up some
something.
jugs.
I can fill up jugs and do that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I really built up my triceps this time.
So we got a workout that week, all of us
certainly
here.
did. But we got through it, and we helped as many people as we could.
As we could, yes, we did. We had a lot of thank yous from a lot of people, and I delivered some dry ice also to some shut-ins down in Tally Ho. People I knew could not get out, and one lady was very grateful to me. Thank you so much for bringing this to me and putting it in her refrigerator and stuff like that. So many grateful people. We reached out to many grateful people. Also, just clean up, since we're on this topic right now, the highway department. Have to really thank the highway department. They did a lot of cleanup, especially down on, it's on Oak Drive down by Tally Ho and stuff. Trees came down and everything over the roads, and they cleared them up, and they've been working night and day. I mean, I saw the trucks going up and down the road packed up with stuff. I was here at the town hall, and I think it was with Dawn, and we were watching the highway department go down with a big truck loaded with logs. They were doing lumber. They were lumberjacks going down the road. So those folks, they worked very hard too. So these are people who work in your community. They're part of you. They're part of us. And they reach out and they go out and they do what they have to do. And I'm grateful to all of them. So.
Here, here.
The other matters, we have transfer of funds resolution
37.
37. Whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary or unanticipated to amend the budget. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 13104.01.040, Director of Finance CE account support by $1,500, and decreasing expense line 10104.01.048, Town Board CE conferences by $850, and decreasing expense line 12204.01.048, Supervisors CE conferences by $650 for additional bond renewal accounting services. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 13804.01 fiscal agent fees by $4,911.89, and increasing expense line 19004.01.049 special items contingency by $4,911.89 for band requirements such as the final official statement and notice of sale. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 71104.01 Amenia Park CE by $4,000, decreasing expense line 71804.01.032 Special Rec Facility CE Instructor by $4,000 for recreation supplies and equipment. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 85104.01 Community Beautification by $4,500, decreasing expense line 71804.01.074 Special Rec Facility Supplies by $500, decreasing expense line 71454.01.031 Intercommunity Rec CE Transportation by $4,000 for HVA Climate Smart Communities certification work. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 16204.01.077 Building CE Telephone by $1,500, and decreasing expense line 16204.01.054 Building CE Electrical by $1,500 for unanticipated telephone repair costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 16804.01 Data Processing CE for $5,500, decreasing expense line 71404.01.030 Intercommunity Rec CE Trips by $5,500 for additional software costs. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board authorizes the transfer of necessary budget lines to process the transactions. Can I make that motion?
Second.
Discussion? Any questions?
I have a question. So I see that we're fixing some lines to do with the recreation, and I just wondered, so there are three $500 charges for, on 8/17/2020. One for the senior league, one for the little league, and one, it looks like, for Amenia Farm League. Are those the t-shirts, or is that something else? I mean, I see all the refunds, so I know all those baseball programs were refunded, so we didn't have a baseball program, but I'm just wondering what all the three consecutive $500 charges are? I don't remember signing off on them. Michelle, do you remember specifically
It's
those?
either the tarps or the clay.
Tarps are separate, 80, the weighted tarps
So
are
then the clay?
1,200.
I'm pulling it right now.
Okay,
Then
yeah.
the clay. I know that she.
No, they're exactly $500 to BNSN Sports Inc.
Is that for some supplies?
BNS,
BSN,
$500.
three $500 consecutive ones.
It's for the weighted tarps. So because of the cost exceeds the $1,278, if you look
They
at
took
all of
them
them,
from three
it's
lines.
associated with the same voucher number, 20-587. So if we go through the vouchers here, you're going to find voucher number 587. And because that particular line did not have enough funds,
You put 'em on
Marge took it
different
out
ones.
of each of the
Oh my
lines,
gosh.
because then each of the lines, because each of the groups would, in theory, be using the field.
But they didn't have the
So-
need for it. Okay, that's what makes more sense. So what's the weighted tarps for? Does anybody know? So there's the 1,278 plus
So it's
$1,500.
$2,778.78.
Are they supposed to go on the ball fields?
Yes.
Tarps, do they put them down in case there's bad weather in between something, or is that what that is?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't gone down there, I haven't seen them. Somebody did go down and say that they're out, and that they're utilizing them.
Oh, okay.
So it's something that they're doing. It's something new this year, so unfortunately, I found out about it after the expense came through. So I haven't gone down. But I know they came in,
Okay.
Okay,
just like I know your equipment's coming in on Monday. I made the appointment for Monday.
super.
It was a larger item, so
That needed special,
So they're gonna come here on Monday and deliver it on Monday.
okay,
Yep.
super.
So items are coming in.
More weighted tarps?
I don't know what.
No, she got for Wassay Park. It's
Wassay
100
Park.
Oh,
That's,
Yeah, no, so Marge took it from each of the lines, so that way.
Okay,
That
then
makes
that makes
sense.
sense. I
That-
couldn't figure out why there were
Everybody can
these
share
round
the
numbers of
cost.
$500.
no, she took it from the different lines because there were different groups going to benefit, be
Yeah.
using it, so.
It only made
Okay.
sense to.
All right.
Good?
Did we
Any
vote
additional
on-
questions? I'm
did-
gonna go through
oh,
it now.
okay.
Okay. Got it. Supervisor Brody.
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle.
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Emoji.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Town board comments?
I just wanted to backtrack on, since I haven't been here, on the picnic that we did. We did a picnic, seems like 100 years ago, but it was on Saturday, July 25th. It was a pick up and deliver picnic that we did. And what it was, the chicken dinners, everything was donated by Tony and Vicky Robustelli of Cousins Cafe down in Wingdale. They donated it all, they cooked it all, they made it all, and they delivered it all, and they prepackaged it for us. And they delivered it to the Wassaic Firehouse, and the Wassaic Firehouse auxiliary ladies opened up the place, put out tables and stuff, and then all the volunteers came through to help deliver things. And
People drove up and picked up their dinners.
yeah, people drove up, picked up their dinners, and then we delivered to the shut-ins. So I'm gonna say, Dawn Marie came with 2 girls and a truck or whatever it was, and
Nancy?
Yeah, Nancy did too, and
Nancy Nowak was
Yeah.
there.
Erica Howard and her daughter
Yep, they
Cassie
came.
joined Carly and I.
Yes, and they went down to Tally Ho, where I put flags out, American flags out in front of the houses that I knew on the route that they would have. See, everybody had a route. Dawn Marie had a route. Nancy Novak, also who works here, she had a route. She had people. Nancy Luther from the Wassaic Fire Company, she delivered 4 meals, so she had a route. Then there was 2 people from Tally Ho, my sister, delivered, and Barbara DeLango, she delivered in Tally Ho. Lucy Howe, I'm going to forget you. Lucy Howe, she delivered to Castlegate. And my daughter Jennifer Rodriguez, she delivered to Castlegate, May Lane, and Tally Ho. And I don't think I missed anybody in that list. We had about 9 people delivering different things out there for that meal and stuff. So it was really great. We got it all out. People came and picked up meals who said they were going to pick them up. And we did it all, and it was very successful. And I sincerely want to thank Tony and Vicky Robustelli for what they did, because we did over 100 meals. And if you figure out how much 100 meals of chicken dinners cost with everything we did, it was really a generous donation that they did, because they just wanted to do that for the seniors of Amenia, because of us as seniors not being able to go to our annual picnic or getting out and doing things like that. So I was really grateful for that, and so were the seniors. They really appreciated it. In fact, a lot of them were waiting when they saw the vehicles coming in, flagging them down. And so they were very, very happy, and all the people I spoke with said the meals were good, and they liked the people who were delivering them. They were nice, cheery, happy people doing these things. So that's the thing there. There's only, I want to type up the senior trips. I know, we're all saying, when is that going to happen? Okay. Right now, I've got a feeler out for two trips are still scheduled. One in October and one in December. And I'll be able to know what can happen. One is the railroad boat trip. I spoke with the gentleman this week, and we had reserved 40 seats, but he said, Michelle, I'm only going to be able to give you 24 or 26 seats. He says that's what we're restricted to in the car. So he's going to let me know in a couple of weeks if what happens lifts for him. And the same thing with the log cabin. If it lifts for him, we'll have a party in December up there, hopefully. And that's the best that I can tell you about a lot of things about the activities there. So hopefully we'll make it through this last few months of this year. Our summer is gone. We don't even remember it. And hopefully...
It's going to be hot the next couple of days. Summer's not gone yet.
Oh, thank you for that. I was just trying to cool off now. So hopefully 2021, hard to believe that, right? We will have a great and wonderful year, and a lot of things will pick up, and we'll be able to open up a lot of things. Oh, one thing I just want, it's not on this, but I just like a comment. We were in a discussion about the town hall here, about maybe being able to make it open from like 10 to 2, and then we would have like a receptionist person at the entrance. And I had volunteered, because I'm always here on Tuesdays, whether you want to see me.
Well,
or not.
there's been no decision made on that.
Oh, no decision made, okay.
No.
So I just wanted to let you know about that I'm willing to be on the list if you need something, because I'm here on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you know I'm supporting everything I can.
Okay.
I just have, sorry.
No,
sorry.
I'm done.
A really quick question. Do we have an advertised position open on the planning board at the moment? I can't recall.
No.
No? Okay.
Is there an opening?
Is there a vacancy that is coming down our way?
No, I have I had someone who reached out to me who was interested in serving on the planning board. I was like, I'll look. I didn't think we had any openings, but.
No, we don't.
Well, every year there's an opening at the end of
Right.
each year, which I usually bring it up in October to advertise, so we can have applications for you by November, and then that way, in hopes by December, if you guys need to appoint, but definitely by reorg, every year you appoint. So if there is somebody interested, don't not throw your.
Yeah, the terms
Right.
are staggered.
Yeah,
terms are,
there's one expiring every year, right?
And because you brought that up, I'm gonna have to bring up business. It's September. It is September. So since I'm doing an ad for Constable, can I also do Board of Assessment Review? Thank you. September is Board of Assessment Review. Their term is up in September.
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna do
Motion.
Board of Assessment Review. I'm just gonna add that into there because you brought that up.
Well, we want to amend the motion to advertise for the constables, to also advertise for Board of Assessment Review, because there is a term up at that time.
I would second that amendment.
Thank you. Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Samoji?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes,
Thanks.
the time?
Well, is there any other town board comment?
I just read an interesting thing that the Stissing Summer Variety Show is going to happen over in Pine Plains. But if people have talents, it sounds like they will be able to apply to be in the show. It'll feature over a dozen performances. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're already set. Family or friend might want to, okay, it's a special virtual event, so please share this email. So it is a Stissing Summer Variety Show by, hosted by actress Margot Martindale. It's a free live-streamed event, an evening of music, dance, and spoken word featuring artists from across the country and around the block, with special appearances from some very familiar faces, all to benefit the Stissing Center. So you can find them at the Stissing Center in Pine Plains, New York, and I don't see their email or phone number. but you can probably find them online. It's called the Stissing Center. So that's a new, if you know the Pine Plains Memorial Hall, it's down on Main Street, right by the Stissing House, and it's been converted into a concert venue. It's a historic building, and they're doing all kinds of live streamed concerts by Bard students, mostly classical. There was a fabulous one hosted on Sunday. So go onto their website and check them out, because it's a new opportunity. Even if you're sitting at home and you miss going out, you can watch these performances virtually. That's all I have.
Is there any other town board comment? Well, I think it's time for the
Jim.
Jim Morris motion.
Famous
I move that
motion.
we adjourn.
I second. 9:01. Michelle.
Aye.
Keep going.
Be safe.
All.
Hey,
All in favor?
Supervisor?
Yes.
Yes.
9:01.
good night.